Greetings, adventurers! How came you by this side quest? Did you take the long road through the fields of Pelennor, the Black Gate, and into the fires of Mount Doom? Or did you take the shortcut through Cyrodiil? If you're a GM running your game and wish to speed up the flow at the table, or if you're a player and simply want your key abilities hotkeyed, please follow along with me on this side quest through the shortcuts of Roll20, a short dive into macros. Now, adventurers, you may be wondering what a macro even is. Think of them like spells, programmable shortcuts that we can use in order to produce certain results within our Roll20 games, helping us to expedite certain abilities and commands. As such, this subject can be a little bit technical, which is why we will only be scratching the surface of the subject for this particular side quest. First things first, open up Roll20. We'll cover some of the most useful macros that we can use during our games. There are a couple ways we can make our macros happen. The first method that can be done is from our chat text box located in the rightmost toolbar at the bottom of your screen. If you aren't seeing your chat, make sure to open your chat tab by selecting the speech bubble icon located at the top of the right taskbar. Let's begin simple. The macro to roll a dice. To roll a dice, we are going to type /R or /roll space the dice that you want to roll, 1d20, and finally plus or minus a modifier, +4. When you hit enter, the dicing roll prompt will trigger and you will see a dice roll in your chat. We can roll whichever dice we would like, even multiple dice by just changing some of the parameters with that command. Very useful if you don't want to bring up your character sheet and simply want to make a quick roll. The next thing we can use our macros for is putting in emotes into our chat. These allow DMs and players alike to add a little bit more of role-playing elements to anything that they would like to emphasize. This will be displayed as an italicized yellow text in our chat. To use an emote macro, we are going to type /EM space the emotive action we would like to perform. For this, I will remove my hat and bow. Will be my action. In the chat, we can now see the emote we just typed in. Very nice. This next macro is incredibly useful if you wish to plot with a fellow player or a DM. You want to send a private message to one particular person at the table. You don't want the other players to overhear, and that is the whisper macro. To perform the whisper, simply type /W space the person that you want to message. For this, we'll be messaging Hjalmar, and then followed by the message that you want to send. Your belt feels light. Check your coin purse. Hit enter, and we can see that this text is italicized and sort of dull, but also that it is only addressing Hjalmar. That's exactly what we want. Perfect for plotting against each other. Our next set of macros is going to be very useful if you do not currently have your character sheet pulled up and wish to quickly make some sort of check. We can call on information from our character sheets right here in the chat without having to look anything up. Our first command is going to be a charisma check. To start, make sure we have a character selected with this method. As you can see, I have Naivara selected, and we're going to type /R, again, space 1d20 space the @ symbol, left curly bracket, selected, vertical bar, the ability modifier we wish to use, charisma _ mod, right curly bracket. We'll see a roll happen, and you can see that we are capturing our selected character's charisma modifier for this roll. If we would like to do a skill check, we could pretty much do the same thing. Again, make sure a character is selected. I'll select Yancey over here and have her perform an Arcana skill check. Type out /R space 1d20 space the @ symbol, left curly bracket, selected vertical bar, the skill we wish to use, Arcana _ bonus, right curly bracket, then enter. And again, we can see the roll populate in the chat using Yancey's Arcana bonus. Fantastic. Now, like I said, there are a few ways we can do this if we don't have a character selected, but still wanted to perform an ability save, for instance. We can type the % symbol, left curly bracket, the name of one of our characters, Elwin, vertical bar, the ability we want to use, dexterity, right curly bracket. And then you can see we get a dexterity roll by Elwin without even having her selected, nor her character sheet opened up. Very cool. Apart from simple rolls, one of the rolls we will have to roll the most will be our initiatives. Again, we have a special macro that we can use to expedite this. Let's select a character. I will select Alfonso here. Let's bring up our turn order in the left toolbar and make sure that it's empty. Then we can put this command in our chat. % symbol, left curly bracket, selected, vertical bar, initiative, right curly bracket. Hit enter, and we can see Alfonso's initiative rolled here in the chat and then generated in the turn order. Very nice, very helpful. What else we can do that is also very, very handy is once we have a command populated in there, like Alfonso's initiative, we can move, select a different character. Then all we need to do is hit the up arrow, and we will redo the last command. And now we can see that Naivara has also just rolled her initiative. So we can very quickly roll a series of initiatives without ever having to open any of their character sheets. Getting a little bit more complicated with it, another thing we can do is comboing up our macros within other macros or within our comments. These are called inline macros. We can do this by having one of our characters type out an action and then slipping in another macro into the text with double square brackets. For instance, with the Yancey selected, if we type /me space, the action we wish to perform, I wink and flirt with the bartender, double left square bracket, the die we want to roll, which is 1d20, plus left curly bracket, the skill or ability we wish to roll, persuasion _ bonus, right curly bracket, double right square bracket. Hit enter. Then we will see that we not only perform an emote, but we also have a persuasion roll here at the end of the emote. We can combo this in a wide range of unique ways to get some pretty immersive stuff going on at our tables. Now, the final thing that I wanted to touch on is instead of having to always type out these macros or saving the commands on a notepad and copy pasting, we can actually save some of our most important macros within our collections and pin them as buttons on our screen. An example of what I'm talking about here is, let's select a character. You can see down at the bottom of the screen under this roll order menu, we have a button that says sneak attack. If I click on that, we will see Alfonso from the shadows strikes for 11 damage. Very neat. To create this manner of macro, we are going to navigate to our Collections tab. At the top of our right toolbar, that's going to be the icon of hexagonal tiles with symbols on them. At the top of this menu, we can see our macros section at the top with our sneak attack button that I created and pinned right here. We can take the commands that we have been writing in our chat and save them here so that we can expedite a number of very key abilities or commands. Our paladins can have their smites loaded, our bards their bardic inspirations. Very helpful for making things run much faster at the table. Let's go ahead and make a new macro here that we can use. To make a new macro, navigate to the plus add button located at the very top of this menu. Doing so will bring up the edit macro menu. Let's start with a name. I'm going to make a quick macro for initiatives, so I'll name this macro Initiative. Then let's take or type out our initiative macro command and simply put it over here in this action text box. Save that and we can see we have a new macro in our macro list called Initiative. And if we check this box right here, it pins it as a button down at the bottom next to our sneak attack button. This particular command requires us to have a character selected, so if we run it with no character selected, we should get an error. Yep, as you can see here in the chat. But if we now select a character and try again, boom, there we go. And now we have our characters rolling their initiatives. Awesome, and we can now use this wherever and whenever we want. If you're curious and want to look into this subject further, I encourage you all to look up the complete guide to macros page on Roll20's website. Some of these take a higher level wizard in order to comprehend, but there is room to add an enormous level of customization to our games. Thank you for joining me on this side quest, adventurers. Hopefully now you have a better understanding of Roll20's macros and how we can then utilize them at our tables. As always, I encourage anyone who is still curious about the subject to dig deeper. If this was at all helpful, please like and share. If not, well then, I thank you for making this far. Please subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. If there's something specific you would like me to cover, or if you would like me to make an even deeper dive into macros, please let me know in the comments. Until our next quest, farewell, adventurers!